So the anchor asked, how safe is this? Why or how can we trust Bitcoin as it stands today?
So Bitcoin is much, much safer than traditional currencies. With traditional currencies, you have to trust a bunch of politicians who you've never met and know nothing about you, and they can print as much of that money at any time as they want for any reason. Whereas Bitcoin is governed by the laws of mathematics. And I think if you ask just about anybody, they trust the laws of mathematics much more than the laws of some politicians.
Now, we heard Ray Dalio call it a bubble. Also, Jamie Dimon says it was a fraud. He would fire any of his traders who indulged in trading of Bitcoin. Why are they, in your estimation, wrong?
I think they just don't understand Bitcoin at this point. So Bitcoin, unlike the US dollar or the euro or the yen or anything else for that matter, you can send and receive any amount of it with anyone, anywhere in the world, basically for free, and there's nothing that anybody can do to stop it or block it or freeze your account or control it or in any way. So try doing that with a normal bank account. You can open a Bitcoin account in just seconds. You don't have to give your name, you don't have to give your tax ID number, you don't have to give your firstborn child. You can do it in 30 seconds. Try opening a bank account in 30 seconds.
So where is it going to be in the next 8 years with regulators obviously taking keen interest? This conference itself was moved from Beijing, the Blockchain Global Summit, from Beijing to Hong Kong. It was postponed because of their crackdown on initial coin offerings and also trading on exchanges. So what is the next step for regulators, and what's that going to do for the development?
So any smart regulator would embrace this technology. It's if you try to block it, it's like, trying to hold back the tide of the ocean. It's impossible. Bitcoin is one of the most important inventions in the entire history of humankind, right up there on par with the importance of the invention of the internet itself. That's how big of a world-changing invention this is. And if you look at traditionally, anything that China tries to ban is something you should invest in. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Google, all of these things are, astounding successes. Bitcoin is on its way to being an astounding success all over the world as well.
China controls a lot of the mine, or it's centralized there as well. 23% of, I believe, of the market, and also many of the miners are centered there. What is the crackdown, because it's so centered, what's the crackdown going to do there, or does it move offshore?
There isn't a crackdown that can be done, because it's kind of like a balloon. If you squeeze one end of a balloon, all the air rushes to the other side, and Bitcoin can flow and transfer anywhere in the world instantly just like that. So at the end of the day, Bitcoin's here to stay. The only way to stop it would be to turn off the entire internet in the entire world and keep it turned off, and even China can't do that.
A lot of cryptocurrency companies have set up here in Hong Kong. What role can they play? Because again, if it's designated as a security, it is then going to be under the strict regulation of securities regulation.
That's for the security regulators to decide and the businessmen to decide they're involved. But traditionally, Hong Kong has been a beacon of economic freedom in the world, and I would love to see that continue to be the case with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and ICOs.
How about your personal holding right now, because of the split or the looming split, the possible split that we saw from Bitcoin into Bitcoin Cash? Are you moving into Bitcoin Cash?
I've slowly been moving some of my funds into Bitcoin Cash. I think Bitcoin Cash is much more in line with the original vision of Bitcoin. Our Bitcoin.com wallet supports both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Legacy. But I'm a much bigger fan of Bitcoin Cash, but it takes some time to build out the ecosystem and infrastructure. Bitcoin Cash has only been around a month and a week now, whereas the legacy version of Bitcoin has 9 years worth of infrastructure built up behind it. So the fact that Bitcoin Cash is the third biggest crypto coin in the entire ecosystem after 5 weeks is a pretty darn amazing start.
Now, what effect is SegWit 2X going to be? I know BIP91 was the first leg of that, August 1st. November 1st, is there another split looming?
Yeah, there's probably going to be another split between the Bitcoin Legacy and SegWit 2X version of Bitcoin, but from my point of view, that just gives me more coins that I can sell for the Bitcoin Cash version, which I think is the most useful one, because it has a limited supply just like all the others, but you can move it faster and cheaper than any of the other ones anywhere in the world. So I'm a fan of Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah. Again, what if China cracks down on the mining? What lasting efficacy will that have?
Not much at all.
Why is that?
Less mining will take place in China, and more mining will take place in places outside of China. So just like if China said, okay, we're not going to mine gold anymore inside mainland China, maybe the gold price will go up a little bit, but people will still mine gold in other parts of the world. So I'm not concerned about that at all.
Where are prices heading? It headed to near a record, September 1st to hit a record, nearly $5,000. Dipped back down after this China ban. Very volatile, but it's on the way back up now.
So I've been involved in Bitcoin for about 7 years now.
Yeah.
The volatility today is much, much less than it used to be. I remember in one day when Bitcoin would go from $2 to $10, then back down to $3 all in the course of a couple of hours. So that's a much bigger percentage swing. So the percentage swings that we're seeing today, if 20% in a day, compared to the traditional markets, that's huge. But if you've been in Bitcoin a while, that's nothing. And
so the next 8 years, where will it be in 8 years?
The overall trend is definitely up. If you have two forms of money, one that's incredibly useful and fast and easy to send and receive, and you don't have to beg for permission to be able to use, and you have traditional legacy forms of money where you have to ask politicians for permission to use and your accounts can be frozen, it's clear which one people are going to start to use. So the future of Bitcoin is brighter than ever before.
Now, when is the network effect going to kick in? When you get the large enterprises and it has critical mass, which will probably tame down some of that volatility and spike gains and spike price drops. Where's the real critical mass application going to be first?
Well, I think the critical mass application is money. So the more adoptance and usage of Bitcoin as money, the bigger the market cap of Bitcoin will be. And the bigger the market cap is, the smaller the volatility will be. So we're still a few years away from that, but it's coming fast and furious at us.
1 year from now, the price is?
At least double.
At least double.